to another episode of the STR Sisterhood. I'm your host, Stacey St. And you know it, girl. I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for being a listener. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of your journey and a part of your day today. Now, before we dive into this interview, I want to read a quote that I read that resonated with me. And it says, "If I see a door coming my way, I am knocking it down. And if I can't knock down the door, I'm sliding through the window. I'll never let it stop me from what I want to do." Those inspiring and encouraging words come to us from Rosie Perez. Now, in today's episode, I am sitting down with rock star short-term rental entrepreneur, Mercedes Sanchez. We are talking all about how she is navigating regulations and even getting folks like Nintendo to book her property to film commercials in. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into my conversation with Mercedes. So today we are here with Mercedes Sanchez, and we have such a fun topic, or I should say set of topics to chat through. But first, Mercedes, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for the invite. Super excited to be here.
So let's just have you start off and share with our listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Mercedes. I am the founder of a full service co-hosting company. We're based in Southern California in Los Angeles called MBX Homes. So we are full service for our clients from start to finish. You could even buy a property with us, identify that property, get your permits, understand your regulations, then full service management after that. We really pride ourselves in marketing, and that is why we're so successful in our bookings and in our occupancy. We, since we started, $1 million year after year after year, and our occupancy rates are really at 80% across the board all year long throughout all of our properties. Something super special about MBX Homes is that we look at a house just as a furnished property. We don't look at it as an Airbnb. Airbnb is just a household name. So when I tell somebody, you just have a piece of property and there happens to be beds in there. So how can we maximize that and how can we make you money? So we're a bit of a special co-host. We really, really, really are versatile and try to maximize our clients' portfolios.
I love that. And those are some of the things that we're going to be talking through today. I'm curious, how did you even get into real estate and short-term rentals to begin with?
Yeah, so I actually come from hospitality. I went to high school for hospitality in Las Vegas. I got a full ride scholarship to study hospitality at the University of Las Vegas. I studied in Switzerland and hotel school. So that's just what I've known my whole life. I worked for Four Seasons Resorts, which if you guys don't know, Four Seasons is top of the top. I worked in their sales and marketing department for 8 years. I was hired before I even graduated college. I traveled around North America for the company, opening up different properties. So onboarding is so easy for me because I would onboard luxury resorts all the time. And then learn how to market that resort and see who our demographic's going to be. How can we welcome people here? Everyone's story changed during COVID. And I always had a bug for real estate and design. So I really just shifted everything I knew from my hospitality background into homes and here in Los Angeles. And it's just evolved into something I never even thought it would evolve to, which is really special.
That is so fun. And I'm curious, when you made that shift from Four Seasons to single family homes, what was something that surprised you? What was something that you didn't expect?
That it's exactly like operating a hotel. I was like, this is so easy to me. And I think that's why we were so successful, because it's just everything I knew. It's funny, like I have executives from the company this day and they literally text me and they're like, "You're the general manager of 70 little homes." And they're not little, but like, you know what I mean? Like if we're at a resort, they're little. They're like, "You are literally a general manager." And it's true. I have a housekeeping staff. I have concierge. I have front desk. I have everything except the unions when it comes to hotels. So it's really a rinse and repeat. But every property is so unique. So I think that was our biggest shift, is what, like, every property is so unique. So how do we translate that to our teams, right? Because our team did grow. So that was, of course, a big learning curve for us, but we were chugging along.
So talk to me a little bit how you built those teams. I think for a lot of folks, the thought of managing other people sounds not so exciting, right?
And it's not exciting. It's not fun. Let's be very honest. It's fun when you find the right team, but letting go of people is never fun, or having those tough conversations are never fun. Especially for me, like I am younger than most of my team, like than most of my not housekeepers, excuse me, most of my cleaners. I am younger than them. Luckily I do speak Spanish. So like, at least I could connect, on that level. But in the beginning, it was super hard. And even in corporate America, when you're managing like a older team than you, that is definitely really tough. I think that was really tough for me. And still, I talk to GCs on the phone all day long. And when they meet me, like they're so shocked at like who I am behind the phone. So I think having that respect level, is really important.
There you go. Now, for anyone who's just listening to the audio portion of it, I'm sitting here looking at Mercedes' complexion and going, man, her skin is so beautiful. So, there is definitely, if there were times where I could turn back the clock and do things differently, as a business owner, it's something fun to think about. But I never thought about age in business, right? And for you, you're probably experiencing folks maybe turning their head when they see you for the first time, going, "Wow, this girl, she's a whippersnapper and she's got a lot of life ahead of her."
Yeah. Even my clients, my demographic of clients are well past 55 years old, right? A lot of them are downsizing or now turning their long-term rentals into short-term or midterms. And they're just shocked. And that's great. I love to shock people. That's awesome. But I guess, you have to hold yourself to like a high standard too, and just present yourself so professionally, right? Because you are dealing with someone's investment property and might be their only investment property. So it's a lot of pressure.
So how have you, in those scenarios where, you might be dealing with managing people who are older than you, or, working with clients who may be questioning if you're the right partner because you are perhaps younger than what they expected. How have you navigated those situations, and how have you earned the respect of those folks?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's evolved throughout the business too. Like now we've been in business for almost, so I think, just our backstory and our previous clients and referrals really do help. But in the beginning, I was very fortunate to have a really strong resume in hospitality. And, I've just built the credentials up. Like, you never stop learning. Like I have my license now in real estate. I'm taking courses, like even going to these conferences that we all go to, like clients love to know that you're involved and that you're trying to learn the best of the best. And how can we evolve the business, and how can you make me more money? So it's really just about showing that like you're in this, like this is what you do every single day. It's your job. Whereas your client, this is not their job. This is something that they have, may it fall on their lap. They don't know what to do with this property. So for us, we really just say like we're 100% dedicated to making it happen.
And how are you showing that to your clients? Do you offer that up on social media? Are you messaging them? Do you have a newsletter? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yes, that's great. We do have a newsletter. We have a really strong email campaign. And we're not like, it's really just showing like new properties that are out, fun events that we should be looking out for, pricing dynamics. So it's really just informing people of like new trends, what's going on, our new releases as well. We do showcase a lot on social media in a really positive light. So I think that's really great. And I will say about 70% of new clients we do onboard ask for referrals. Like they want to ask for, references. So I do select properties and homeowners that maybe reflect what the property this potential client has. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's just like a job. I ask them, hey, can I put you down as a reference? And they're, of course, like happy to be a reference. So that has really helped. So if you are an aspiring co-host, even if you're co-hosting like a family member, like your client does not need to know it's a family member's house. Just put them as a referral, do a case study, put your numbers in there. It's really great for someone to visualize that, because why would somebody give you their only investment property to run?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice. And like you, I also, will very often get asked for references when someone is looking to have me manage their property. And I think having references that are in your back pocket that you can be able to share is really important. If you're thinking about sharing a reference of a client without checking with that client first, I would advise you to not do that. You want to make sure that you've got that person's permission. But secondarily, when you do hand over their contact information, it's really important to just let your reference know, hey, just so you know, again, thank you for being a reference of mine. I just shared your contact information. You can be expecting a phone call. So that it just,
No, you have to. I also try to like make sure the properties align. So like if I know I'm going after, 2-bedroom luxury condo, I'm only going to give them condo references. I'm not going to give them single family home, 5-bedroom references. So I want it to be like really relatable when they speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Love that. So you mentioned you have built up teams. What have been some of your favorite places to source your team members? I know you said you've got concierge team, you've got a housekeeping team. Where have you found that you've been able to recruit from the easiest?
Do you want to laugh?
I do.
If I see a housekeeper in an area that I'm onboarding new property, I will pull over and talk to them. The streets of LA. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, I've literally have pulled over on housekeepers before. What's up? What are you doing here? Do you have a housekeeping, residential, Airbnb? What do you guys do? Do you have a team? Home Depot. Love Home Depot for a good reference. A lot of our homeowners, our clients have teams already. So this is huge. So when I do onboard a new client, I do ask them like, have you been working with the GC to get this home rental ready? Have you been working with a really good handyman? If their stuff's not good, I'll be like, we should not work with this person. But if there's really good work in their home, I will always ask them if they don't mind. And usually they're like, oh my God, like this person's so great. Like, please use them. Like they would love the work or whatever. I like to keep everyone kind of under our umbrella because we are so busy. So like I do have full-time maintenance that I could call anytime, they prioritize us for any job, no matter how big, how small. Same with our cleaning team. It's under us. Like of course they have other clients outside of us because they are contractors, but they're working 5 days a week with us full time. Yeah. And we keep them busy. We do praise them. We do compensate very well. They're on Slack channels with us. Like we're introducing new things to them. Like if I see a cool like TikTok cleaning hack, I'm sending it to them. So, we really try to like just really keep them like under us. And, it just makes our operation so much smoother. Yeah.
I know I think that that's incredibly important for me and my property management journey, having a cohesive team that feels like they're a part of a family and not just a contractor is incredibly helpful and important, I think.
And then they know your standards, right? Like, I've said this over again, but like our handyman and our contractors, like they know if a guest is there, like they know to take off their shoes, like they know not to use the toilet. If they do, they put the toilet seat down, they make sure it's clean. Because at the end of the day, if they have to go during a guest stay, like that's going to be reflective of your review. And so many times, like if something's clogged or something happens during a guest stay, they'll be like, wow, they were so quick to fix it. And Pablo was so professional. Like they make it in their review and like send that review to them because like they need to see that praise as well.
Yeah. And on the opposite end, I have had a scenario in the past where, let's say there's an issue with one of the units and we send out a contractor and the contractor says, I'll be there at 11. And then you show up at 3:00.
Oh
right?
my gosh, the worst.
And it's horrible because, they probably didn't have any malintent, but what they don't understand, what those contractors don't understand is that they are impacting you.
I always say that. I'm like, there's no entry. You have to be there at 11 or like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to kind of exaggerate it sometimes. So if you have to, of course.
Yeah. And I think for me, building process around that, building a follow-up process for my concierge team to be able to then follow up and follow through with the guest. Did the contractor arrive okay? Or with the contractor? Did you ask for it? Things like that I think are really, really important.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, being in LA, I am envisioning that, you probably have a large mix of different ways that you're utilizing your properties. Just this past week in our STR Success Accelerator group, we were talking about renting to film producers.
Oh, yeah.
Is this something that you do on the regular? And talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I would say we do about one a quarter, which is still really good because the money is really good. This is something that how would I put this? When they hit, we got a lot of inquiries all the time. Is this house available? Is this house available? But like once you actually secure a booking, because you have to remember when it comes to films, there's a lot of moving pieces. You probably have about 5 showings before you even secure it. Because you have director, you have producers, then you have the actual scout, then you have the union sometimes going because they have to make sure everything's like legal. Then you have permit people going. Like there's a lot. And when I'm talking about productions, I'm not talking about like Pierce Basic Gangster. I'm talking about like legit commercials, legit movie production. So there's a lot of moving pieces to it. And like I learned a lot too when I started doing this, right? A lot of paperwork that is involved in this. Also, I will say this is not a strategy that you could repeat because once a house is used, they're probably never going to use your house again. Because people have seen it, it's done. You know what I mean? Unless you're like a very I don't know, maybe it could work. But to be really honest, it's one and done for these things. But the money is really great. I spoke at Blow Up Your Listing and I shared a Nintendo commercial where we made $10,000 in literally 14 hours.
That's not too shabby.
Not too shabby. So, I mean, it's still worth, like, if you have a beautiful, honestly, it doesn't have to be a beautiful home because they're probably going to restage it and everything. But if you have a home that you want to put out there for films, I absolutely encourage anybody to do it because like one day it'll randomly happen.
So how would someone determine, number one, would my house even be viable for a film production? And number two, I'm envisioning, and correct me if I'm wrong, that perhaps they would need to be located in some sort of film hub, like in LA or New York or Atlanta.
I would think a film hub is obviously easier. I do know multiple people who have had their houses actually selected. They weren't even on like Location Scout website. Like the scout probably driving by and was like, "Ooh, that's a good fit," knocked on the door. Even like people like it's not a rental, like it's owner occupied. They have had their houses in film before. But yeah, I do think it's obviously easier in LA. It's so easy. Like there's commercials being filmed all the time. Like it's normal. We see it every single day. So I think that's why we've had so much success in doing at least for a year is because we do have that inventory of homes and they know it's just it's like ready to go. And we're really flexible when it comes to the production crew and staff. Like we try to make it so easy as possible to show. We're like very flexible on what furniture can come in and out. We're so flexible on start times. If you have a lot of parameters and have a lot of guidelines, it's probably not going to work because you're on their time.
Mm-hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong, but in the film industry, and you touched on it a moment ago, that a lot of times they are restaging your entire house, correct?
Oh my God. That Nintendo commercial, they didn't use anything. Like they honestly could have filmed it in an empty house and like saved a lot of money. I have no idea why they chose that house. Because when I saw the commercial, I said, that doesn't even look like our house. And it's so funny because they actually, one of their requirements was to have somebody from my company there. So I sat my assistant there to literally sit there for 14 hours on a computer. I'm like, they're paying you, just sit there.
Wow.
And she's like, they're moving all the furniture. And I'm like, okay, well, like, make sure it doesn't break. And she's like, no, it's cool. Like, they have movers. I'm like, what are they doing? And she's like, they have their own furniture.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Is there, from your perspective, any solid ways that if a filming opportunity comes your way, you are vetting that opportunity? What kinds of questions are you asking, or what kinds of things are you requesting from that?
So for an initial inquiry, I'm always asking what the crew size is, how long your shoot days are, if they're going to need exterior and interior, if crew is going to get ready at the property. So a lot of the times they want a bigger home because they want to turn a bedroom into like hair and makeup, a green room, a war room, an assistant room. So sometimes they're just booking big properties just to have all those rooms. And I've also had it booked where they weren't filming at our location, but they were filming at a house down the street, but they booked our place just for crew to hang out and eat at. So there's a lot of different ways you could like utilize this.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of the websites, I know you mentioned, since you're in LA, you're kind of in the film mecca of the world, but for someone who isn't located there, are there specific websites that they would potentially find helpful or beneficial to promote their property?
There's image locations. That's a really, really big one. Also just connecting with any type of scout. Like you could literally go on LinkedIn and just start connecting with location scouts, because typically these location scouts work across the world. Like they're not just in like whatever city they live in. A lot of the times they don't even live in LA. Like they have moved to other parts of the country and they'll just fly in for like location. I've also had this, like I did a commercial for Mercedes and literally the crew from Germany flew in to scout. So like sometimes people are not even in your backyard.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love that Mercedes-Benz did a film scout in Mercedes.
They literally called it Mercedes' Villa, and I was like, thank you. It's like, I told my client, I was like, you're welcome. No.
That's so good. So good.
I know. But yeah, it's really random. Like, I wish I could say there was like a method to the madness, like, but there isn't. Like, it's just, you get the lead, be fast because these people are really fast, and just be flexible. Even like, honestly, like I'll just say yes. I mean, within reason, of course, right? Like I'm not going to have 100 people in like a 2-bedroom apartment. But obviously if it makes sense, just say yes. And then we get so many leads that I don't even share the leads with my client until they're ready to scout. Because I don't want a client to get really excited and worked up and ask me every day, hey, what about that lead? And then, because a lot of these times these leads go dark. And I will say like for every 50 leads, we book one.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, so they're probably reaching out to a lot of different homes.
Sure. Now, I know that within your portfolio, obviously, you just mentioned that film type bookings are not really scalable. You're also doing short-term rentals as well as midterm rentals. Talk to us a little bit about how you manage that. Meaning, do you have specific properties that are midterm rental first and then you fill in with short-term rental? Or are all the properties across your portfolio available in different ways? How does that look?
That's a great question. And I think it's a bit different because of the regulations in Los Angeles. So it really, really just depends where they're located, what the status of their permit is. But I will say, our entire portfolio is both midterm. Well, no, sorry. Our entire portfolio is midterm at one point. Half of our portfolio is short-term and midterm. Because in LA, we can't short-term all year long. So when that permit runs out, we shift to midterm.
Interesting.
And so honestly, like we just do it all. Like whatever makes sense for that time, whatever client makes sense, whatever, the reservation amount makes sense, we will shift and take it.
Interesting. And so are you, with your short-term and midterm kind of hybrid approach, are you leading with short-term rentals out of the gate and then only when that permit expires, then it goes to midterm?
Yes. If my client has the permit or they're able to get the permit, because again, some areas of LA, you're not able to get the permit. So if you have the permit and you're able to get that permit, we are STR because that's of course more money than MTR. So absolutely, I would 100% rather have an STR and then turn them into MTR.
Gotcha. And I am curious, are there any other tips or tricks for navigating around regulations that you have come across or might be able to share, knowing that your market is so heavily regulated?
Yes. I think for me, I'm really involved in like what's going on in the city. Like I'll go to like city council meetings, I'll go to hearings, I'll do on the Zoom calls, like I'll be representing my clients. I invite my clients. They love that. Like they really love it. They're like, oh, I'm working all day, but send me the note. So we'll send a little recap in our email marketing. Like we are involved and we've also met a lot of clients in these meetings. So if you're a co-host, you should absolutely be, attending your whatever city council meetings you can go to. So I think that has really helped. But as far as like, we don't really do loopholes. I mean, like, I guess film production is kind of a loophole, but we really play by the book when it comes to the permits. We have to, because we are representing other people's homes. But of course, too, like we specifically have strategy within our operation that kind of helps maximize the permit. So, we don't book out more than 3 months at a time because I would hate for there to be a really great reservation 7 months out and all of a sudden their permit's gone. And now we can't do midterm because we have that really great reservation 7 months down the road. So we really have to like play the calendar. Like we look at the calendar 3 months in advance and we have to do that. And we're really involved in like the insurance, relocations. We're very heavily involved in that because we want to like really get good bookings for our clients. And if we could get a MTR, we could save that permit for like after, when those people move out, then we could go to the short term again.
And if someone is listening and going, well, how do I get involved with insurance and how do I get involved with all those things? What recommendations?
Oh my gosh, there's so many people who are like so much better at me at the insurance world, but honestly, just, those insurance websites. And again, I think being flexible, like I really do think because we are so flexible, we have gained so much business. We had an insurance relocation for same day move-in. That means we didn't have a deposit yet. We didn't have that wire. We didn't have that check be overnighted to us yet. But I was like, okay, like I know it was like a Mikey or something like that. So I was like, okay, I know it's like a reputable company. We've done business with them before. I have a confirmation I'm going to get the money in 5 days. Let's move them in. My client was not thrilled with me. She was like, how can you move somebody without payment? And I'm like, you're going to get it. But again, we dropped everything we were doing that day. We got the house ready. We prepared it. Family came in. Mom starts crying, like overwhelmed of joy, like so thankful she has a place to go to. That was supposed to be a 3-week stay. It's still going on month 7 right now.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. Like we could have said like, oh no, it's same day. Like I'm not going to rush. I'm not going to send my crew out there. Oh, I don't have the money. Like I could have been a big stickler about it, but I would have lost that for my client. So I really think being flexible, like, and being speedy, responsive. Like when we get a lead, we are responding within an hour. Like we have it. If we don't have it, we don't have it. You know what I mean? But if we do have it, we're on it.
Right. Talk to me about that flexibility and or if it plays out in your agreements with your clients. So I have a standard management agreement,
of
course. And every once in a blue moon, someone will ask to modify it. Do you let your co-hosting clients modify your agreement?
No, because I tell them I'm not going to have you have special treatment versus all my other clients. I've also had clients ask me for discounted commissions, and I say no, because the last thing I want you to do is turn around and say, you're giving me less attention because I pay you 10% versus 20 or whatever. And also I'm not going to work for 10%. So, but no, like we are very, very across the board. This is what it is. And it also, like, if you want to grow, like you can't have 15 different contracts out there. You need the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would definitely, if someone is listening and doesn't have a standardized agreement in place, if you're just starting out co-hosting or doing property management, that is critically important that you have a standardized agreement that is, drafted and reviewed by an attorney.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that is so, so, so important. And Mercedes, I'm curious if you don't mind just sharing with us a little bit about your business model. Is it something that you, with your co-hosting services, are you invoicing your clients, or are you taking in the money and generating payouts for your clients?
Yeah, this is a question we get asked a lot. And I think it's just a little different because we are in the state of California. So our clients get all the money up front and then we bill for our services. And I know it's like a lot of controversy with like how you do run your business and stuff, but we're in Los Angeles County where we just have to be super careful. Like I even have eviction clauses on my contract, just because I'm not dealing with any of that. So we are super careful in what we do. So our clients get all the money and then they pay us. And if you're wondering if I've ever had a client not pay me, the answer is no, because I know everything about my clients. Like we have their social, we know where they live, there's a contract in place. We could take them to small claims court if need be. Like I'm not scared about not getting paid.
Yeah. And I do have I'm a licensed property manager in South Carolina. So in South Carolina, I take all the money and then distribute payments to my client.
Yeah. If we were licensed, which hopefully in a few years I can be licensed, it would be a whole different story. But if we are a co-host in Los Angeles or a very tenant-friendly state, I would suggest to do it the way we're doing it currently.
And I will tell you, if I had it to do over, I would probably do it your model.
Really? That's the first I've heard of that. So thank you.
So one of the things that I have learned is a full service property management company, meaning where you are taking in all the money and dispersing payments, is an extremely cash intensive business, which you are fronting the cost of repairs. When repairs and maintenance need to be made, you are paying for that and then getting reimbursed with the reservation fees. But we close out books once a month, of course. But I mean, when I first got into this business, I didn't realize that was going to require the level of cash out of my own coffers, right?
Yeah, so that's definitely, I mean, that's something too, like we still put it, for the most part, we do have to pay out cleaning expenses out. So it gets a little tough, especially if you're just starting out, you don't have that cash flow. It gets a little tough sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I do for my co-hosting clients, and I'm curious if you do this the same, but oftentimes with my co-hosting clients, I have, we manage the day-to-day with the cleaners, but the co-host clients are actually paying the cleaners. So I'm not having to obviously front the money. And then like you, we just invoice for our services. I keep my clients' credit cards on file and I automatically pay. I obviously generate an invoice, but I'm able to collect that money right away because I just click the button on Stripe where it says auto charge customer
Yeah, no, definitely. We have their credit cards on file, or if they need us to like purchase something big for their home and they just don't have the time to purchase it, we'll run their credit card and purchase it. Sometimes we have to put our credit cards out if it's like emergency. We always have those situations pop up. But for the most part, you do want your client to pay for most of those things.
Yeah, for sure. Mercedes, I'm curious, what is next for you? As you look at growing in this business, what's on the horizon on your end?
Yeah, I mean, we're actively taking clients. We onboard about 2 clients a month at the moment. So we are always actively taking on new clients. We're definitely growing MBX Homes. We're evolving, which is super cool. We're kind of evolving to a company that guests are now recognizing. So like we have a lot of repeat guests. We deal with a lot of like private agents, relocation agents, travel agents, athlete agents. So now we're kind of becoming like a go-to in Los Angeles, which is really awesome. So we're on both sides. We're a go-to for clients and we're a go-to for the guest. And now we're really, really focusing on like helping future clients purchase in Los Angeles investment homes. So really being like that one-stop shop. So for me, what's next? I mean, I would love to keep being this general manager of homes, as people call me. So yeah, we're just keeping our business growing and doing really cool things, getting bigger projects, bigger homes, really fun stuff.
So fun. So fun. I want to move to the lightning round. Okay. And I'm going to ask you some questions and ask you to answer with the very first thing that comes to mind.
Okay. First, sorry if I say something crazy wild.
All good. First question is easy. Where's your favorite place to vacation?
Oh my God. Anywhere with the water. Anywhere I can like lay there and get a tan. I don't like to go to the same place more than once or twice. I like to go to different places.
Okay. Now you say water, like are you a beach girl or a lake girl, or it doesn't matter? Beach.
I'm a total beach girl, like Caribbean, Mexico. Yes.
I love that. Do you have a favorite Caribbean island?
Well, I think Puerto Rico.
I've never been.
Puerto Rico for sure. So fun.
Beautiful. One of my team members lives there. Okay. Next question. What's one place you've never been that you want to visit?
Bali.
Ooh. I've heard that's pretty amazing.
Yes.
If you decide to go, just let me know. I'll probably
let's go. We'll backpack together.
Oh, that's so fun. Okay. Next question is, what's one thing you know now that you wished you knew when you were starting out in the world of short-term rentals?
I wish I knew that there was a world out there that was doing what I was doing. Like I didn't know that because I was working. So when I first started out, I was like, I found another company that now we are literally the same size and we share leads like every single day. But I was working for her, kind of like her assistant in a way. It was very short-lived, like very, very short-lived. But she didn't even know that there was a world out there. And I hate to say it, but people in LA are very self-centered. And I don't really think any of them were like exploring like the podcast or there wasn't anything like that. And it took me a while to figure that out. So I really wish I would have like done a little bit more like outreach and like maybe found a mentor a lot sooner than when I did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's great advice. Great advice. All right. Next question. Speaking of advice, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Even if you like to do something, never do it for free. And I think I did that a lot when I started my business. So just because you like to go shopping at Home Goods, like you need to be charging per hour to go shopping for Home Goods. And for me, it's like, I'm like, oh, I'll just do it. And I'm like, what? And when I started to realize that was when I got too busy growing a business that I couldn't be the one being at Home Goods. So I'm like, how am I going to pay my assistants to do this?
Mm-hmm.
You have to charge, And I really think it's because I just enjoyed doing it. I was just, let's just go do it. Yeah. So you can't do that in a real business.
Girl, I love me some Home Goods. Okay.
Me too.
They know me by name.
I think they have
Wow.
me by name
Look,
too. I know my favorite ones.
They're like, oh, here she comes again.
Oh my gosh, so funny.
That's so great. But I think that's great advice. And I also think it's important to keep that in mind too, when you are managing your own property that you own.
That's a great advice.
Put a line item in your budget to pay yourself a co-hosting fee, right?
And I even know co-hosts that don't pay themselves what they need to be paying themselves. And like, you do have to pay maybe I understand you can't pay yourself first sometimes, especially when you're first starting out, but like, you do need a salary because you're doing so much.
Yeah, totally. All right. Last question. What's one thing and or person that you're grateful for today?
That's a great question. Thing or person?
Mm-hmm.
Thing. Well, I think I'm thankful for all the technology because you said like you have your team member in Puerto Rico. Like I have team members in Philippines and I have team members across the country because we have properties across the country. And I'm like so thankful that we could just talk all day long and do video chats or just chat on the phone. Like how cool is that? And you get to learn like so much about like their culture and like their day to day and like it's just so cool. You know what I mean? But I'm also thankful for my mom because she is my number one inspector.
Oh, I love that.
I'm like, Mom, go right now to this property. We need you. I'm getting emotional. And she's like, I'm going.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's fun that you get to work together in that way and support her. And I know that your mom is probably incredibly proud of you and this business.
Edit this out. I gotta clean my mascara. No, my God, but she like will drop everything. It's so cool to go.
That's amazing. That's a good mama. That's a good mama right there. All right, awesome. So Mercedes, if someone is wanting to learn more about you or curious about how you might be able to help them with their property, what is the best place for them to find you online?
That's a great question. Instagram, MBX Homes. We're also on YouTube, and TikTok actually. So we're on all the platforms, but definitely Instagram. You can find all of our new fabulous properties that are coming out, new things we're doing, cool video shoots we're doing. So we love to keep everyone up to date.
Love it. Mercedes, thank you so much for being with us.
Yes, thank you so much, Stacey. I appreciate it.
Now, before you go, I'm going to give a quick shout out to some of the amazing women inside the Female Short-Term Rental Investors Facebook group. Just yesterday, Amanda Kramer posted, how do you decorate with plants? Fake ones, hardy ones that need minimal water like snake plants or cactus. I have a new riverfront cottage with big windows and surrounded by trees. So there's lots of green around it, but the house needs a few inside. Well, already 25 women have jumped in and shared their feedback. Tony Escudar says, I would do faux plants to ease the maintenance of it. Just be careful with the cheap, super plastic looking ones. That is great advice. Terry Hulis says, if we have to do plants for clients, we use faux. Nearly Naturals has the best, but we use dried plants, architectural pieces wherever we can. In my own properties where I have a say in cleaner scope, we do real. Abby Folis says we use faux at ours too. So many great pieces of information here. I did not know about Nearly Natural, and now I'm going to be sure to check them out. All right, that wraps up today's episode. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. I will see you next week. And in the meantime, make it a great one.